Hi, this is Steven Sylvester here to give a quick walkthrough of making a release of JupyterLab. So today we're going to make a stable release of JupyterLab. It'll be version 3.2.4. I'm going to go ahead and start by going over to my fork of Jupyter Releaser, which we'll use to kick off the process. I'm going to bring up the draft changelog workflow, and the options I'm going to give it are we're targeting JupyterLab, the 3.2.x branch is our current stable branch that I'm targeting, and I'm using that next version spec because the JupyterLab accepts next for either patch release or switching build releases if you're on an unstable branch. So it's just a shorthand to allow you to not have to say patch or build as the version bump. So I'm going to go ahead and run that workflow, and I'll describe what's going on as that's running. Okay, so we see it started. Just a couple notes. My fork of Releaser has secrets in it, so I'm making these releases with my authentication. The admin GitHub token is a personal access token I've generated that allows the workflows to create PRs on my behalf, do other things like access the GitHub API. The NPM token is an NPM token I generated for myself, a publish token, so that I can publish NPM packages, including the JupyterLab ones, as part of this process. And this PyPI token map is a comma separated value list of repo names and the PyPI scoped token for that repo. So in this process, I'll be using the JupyterLab token as part of that map. So again, these three allow me to run this process with my own credentials. So I'll go back to the Actions tab. I see the draft changelog operation is running, and drill down, and we'll wait to see some output here. Okay, so we see it's doing its job. This part is going to take a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and come back here in a minute.
All right, and we're back, and the workflow has completed, and it gives us a handy little pointer to what the next step is in the process, which is a pull request that was open on our behalf in JupyterLab. So I'm going to go ahead and review this PR. It's give it a documentation, not a project, but a label, and give it the 3.2.x milestone because we're making a PR against 3.2.x. So there's a temporary branch the workflow created on our behalf, and we'll go ahead and look at the changelog entry. So I'm just looking for anything that needs a copy edit. Yeah, it looks like we already have one, so I'm going to go into edit mode and just change this title to remove the descriptive piece. Let's see, capitalize here. Typically, we're looking for things to add backticks to if we want to. Like, here's an example. Okay, and the other thing I was checking for is if there was a header called other merged PRs, which meant that there were no labels, triage labels applied, but it looks like all the current PRs were in one of these three categories, so we're good. This looks like a good change. I'll go ahead and commit to that in progress branch. And then we usually like to wait until at least the link check. So I'm gonna do a search here for link check. It jumped on me. Until the link check build is passed. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause again and come back once that has passed. Actually misspoke earlier. It's a lint job that we wanted to focus in on in case we made a formatting error on the README. So yeah, we've got a good amount of successful jobs all around. Pretty low threat PR, just changing the documentation. We've got currently a bug that it removes the documentation label on us. So I'm going to reapply that. And then notice at the top it gives a list of the packages that are about to be published. and then a set of instructions of what to do. So it's telling us to go back to Jupyter Releaser and run the full release with these inputs. So we're going to go ahead and merge, squash, and delete that temporary branch that was created. And then we're ready to come back to our fork of releaser. Now the full release is actually a combination of draft and publish. So if something goes wrong during the publish portion of full release, you can come back and just do the publish part, which is handy sometimes in case something goes wrong with the publish credentials. All right, so we're going to use the same inputs that we had before, the 3.2.x stable branch, next release, and we don't need any of these advanced features for this one. And let that start. Drill down. And for JupyterLab, this will probably take around 30 minutes, so I'll see you then.